The Maserati Gran Cabrio Trofeo. It looks absolutely gorgeous, but the question is, does it drive as well as it looks? Well, we're gonna find out at the end of this video. We're also gonna talk about this thing from a technical standpoint, how I feel about the interior space, and what it's like to drive it, so let's get started. I don't know about you, but I've always had a thing for Italian cars. I mean, they're absolutely beautiful, they sound amazing, and some may say they're unreliable, but I don't know about that. When I was a kid, my childhood dream car was the Maserati GranTurismo, the first generation, and I really wanted to get the opportunity to drive my hero. But I also realized that winter is coming in New Jersey, and it's probably one of the last days to enjoy beautiful weather with the top down, so I got its brother with chopped roof, the Gran Cabrio. So let's talk about this thing, starting with the design. I know I don't do this very often, but I think I would do Maserati injustice if I didn't talk about it. When you look at it, no matter if you're looking at the car from the front, from the back, from the side, with the top up and the top down, you must admit that it looks absolutely beautiful. It's aggressive, yet simple and classic, and its elegance is just undeniable. But Maserati is not only about the design, so what really matters is how and what you feel behind the wheel, so we're gonna talk about some technical stuff. The Gran Cabrio, just like its coupe brother, the GranTurismo, sits on the Giorgio Sport Platform, which has its connections to other Stellantis products, but it has been heavily modified by Maserati to live up to the brand's standards and give you that balance of driving dynamics and high comfort that Maserati is known for. So suspension-wise, we have a double wishbone front, multilink back, combined with air springs and adaptive dampers. That means that not only can you change the stiffness or damping of the suspension, but also depending on the driving mode, the ride height will change, which is pretty uncommon in GT cars. As of brakes, they're provided by Brembo. We get 6-piston front calipers. Out back we have a 4-piston setup, and while it is a brake-by-wire setup, the calibration is actually great, and I will talk more about that in the driving impressions. Now, sadly, we had to say goodbye to a Ferrari-derived naturally aspirated V8 from the previous generation. So now we get a Nettuno 6-cylinder engine. It's a 3-liter twin-turbo V6, which in this Trofeo variant makes 542 horsepower and 479 pound-feet of torque. In the regular Gran Cabrio, it's slightly detuned, giving you 483 horses. Now, if we're talking about powertrains, there's also a fully electric variant available with 751 horsepower, but that's a subject for another review. Back to the V6. Maserati says that it uses F1-derived technologies, even though it's been more than, 6 decades since they've raced in F1. But anyways, it has a dual port and direct injection, dual spark plugs, and a pre-combustion chamber, which goal is to pre-ignite and have more efficient combustion. They mostly did it to optimize fuel efficiency due to the emission standards getting stricter and stricter, but I can guarantee you, it's a V6 like no other, and it has tons of character. Transmission-wise, we have an 8-speed ZF automatic, which transfers the power to all wheels via a rear bias all-wheel drive system with an ELSD. So if we compare it to the previous model, the car isn't rear-wheel drive anymore, but people want all-wheel drive these days and everything, so Maserati did that as well. Lastly, let's talk about pricing. As you can imagine, this isn't the cheapest car. It starts at around 167 grand and can go up to mid-200s. Now, before we talk what it's like to drive this thing on our favorite back road with the top down, let's take a look inside and talk about the interior space. Okay, so we're inside the Maserati Gran Cabrio. Now, when you look at the dashboard design and overall cabin design, it looks rather simple, and I wouldn't call it boring. It has that Italian flair that we all love. Also, from quality standpoint, I have nothing to complain about. A lot of surfaces here are covered in leather. There's a good use of aluminum, wood, and even real carbon fiber. And not only does it all look nice, it's also very well put together, which is kind of surprising for Maserati. I mean, that's what we expect when we're talking about a $200,000 car, right? Now, I said that the cabin for the most part feels original, but there are still some elements shared with other Stellantis products such as the stalks or the steering wheel controls, and same applies to technology, meaning you get the same software that Stellantis put in their Jeep Grand Cherokees. So the infotainment system is an Android-based unit which works well. It has nice graphical interface and it's pretty quick to respond, but again, considering Maserati's position in the hierarchy, they should have at least designed a dedicated graphical interface. Now, right underneath the main display, you have a smaller display which controls things like your HVAC system, seats, cabin illumination, and some other customizations. I'm not gonna lie, I would prefer physical controls for those things, but it's good that those things are separated from the main screen, and that makes it a little bit easier to use. So let's talk about usability. The Gran Cabrio is a convertible GT, so we cannot expect much. It's not terrible. The center console actually offers an okay amount of storage, and the trunk can be somewhat acceptable as long as you're not planning on dropping the top. The front seats, which are obviously heated and cooled, are on a stiffer side, but they still offer great comfort and a wide range of adjustments, including upper and lower bolsters, so they're supportive, and if you want to relax, you can just loosen them. Also, if you like driving with the top down on cooler days, we have hot air blowing on your neck to keep you nice and cozy. So something that Mercedes has had for years, but it's really nice to see that more convertibles are adopting that. Now, the backseat is tiny. I mean, it's a GT, so you should only use it if you really need to, and if you need to transport someone very quickly. But yeah, overall, it's a very nice place to be. It smells very nice in here. Like, I wish you guys could smell it, but you know what? You can hear how it sounds like. So let's start this thing up and get on our favorite back road. Okay, so when you're buying a Maserati, you're not only buying it for the looks, you're also buying it for the driving experience. So since we are on one of the best places on earth, our favorite back road, let's see how the new Gran Cabrio does dynamically. Let's put it into most aggressive Corsa mode. It's intended for track, but you know what? Let's see how it does here. You can downshift. Oh, as I said in my Grecale review, that Netsuno V6 is an incredible engine. 542 horsepower in a car like that means pure joy, and this unit is simply amazing. Delivers power very linearly, almost kind of like a naturally aspirated engine. We don't have that instant torque hit. There's a little bit of turbo lag, but I'm totally fine with that because the power delivery is just so nice, so progressive, and at the same time the engine just sounds amazing. Farts on upshift, and there's a little bit of burbles. Granted, it doesn't replace the Ferrari derived V8 from the previous generation, but Maserati has nothing to be ashamed of with this engine. The exhaust tuned so nicely. That's one of my early memories of Maseratis, their sound, and they really prioritize how the car sounds, and they did an excellent job here in the Gran Cabrio. Now, we obviously have an 8 HP unit from ZF on board, which is very, very good. It's not at the level of Tremec that you have in a Corvette or a PDK in Porsche, but it's very quick to respond, can be very aggressive in Corsa mode with shift, and even when you use the automatic mode, it's gonna have a very good logic. It's gonna know what gear to go into. It will quickly go down gears if that's necessary. Okay, we're talking about the powertrain. Now it's time to talk about driving dynamics. To say that Gran Cabrio handles like a dream might be an overstatement, but it does handle very well. We have plenty of grip, and the ELSD in the back helps with rotation. It's not very maybe easy to get this car to rotate, but it does it, and it's very rewarding. Unfortunately, the steering is not the most communicative. I wish it gave me a little bit more feedback, because sometimes it's hard to tell what's happening with the front axle and when you start to lose grip. But on the other hand, this is a GT, it's not a dedicated track tool, although I would love to see how this thing does on the racetrack just because of how much power it has. The brakes for a brake-by-wire system are actually very good. The way you feel the brake pedal changes depending on the drive mode, and the brakes are very effective. No issues with slowing down this beast. No carbon ceramics, but you don't really need them on your street car. Alrighty, the pavement is getting a little bit rougher, so let's do what this thing is meant to do most of the time. Let's put it into comfort mode. The exhaust shuts down, the car is much more quiet, the suspension gets softer, and the car raises itself since, yes, we have air springs here on a convertible. I think it's the first convertible that I'm driving, or first GT car that I'm driving, that has any sort of air suspension on it. But let's do what this thing is meant to do. Let's just look at the beautiful weather outside and enjoy the world that surrounds us. The Maserati is about an experience, and I know it sounds stupid, but it's about feeling that you drive something special, you drive a car that is very common, and this car really excels in that role. It is very comfortable. Granted, we have a convertible, so the structure is not as rigid as in case of a coupe, and there is some vibration that gets transmitted into the cabin. The drive can get a little rough on certain types of pavements, but it's not punishing whatsoever. It is more comfortable than something like an M8 competition, maybe not at the level of the SL, but SL has some crazy suspension magic going on. Here the suspension setup is a little bit more simpler, and the fact that we have double wishbone up front really also helps. I mean, there's really nothing for me to complain about. It's an experience. You're not buying this car because you are looking for a pure performance vehicle. For the money, for over $200,000, you're gonna get a 911 Turbo S or a GT3, but this is something that you take your significant other, put them in your passenger seat, and you simply enjoy life. Anyways, that's all I wanted to say. This amazing Maserati Gran Cabrio. So let's head into the final thoughts and summarize it. Okay, so let's sum up the Maserati Gran Cabrio Trofeo. It's not a car that you buy as an investment. It's a pure emotional purchase, and it gives you those emotions. If you're thinking that you're gonna make money off of it, well, I highly recommend you getting a financial advisor. But back to the review. It's truly an impressive car when it comes to performance. It doesn't handle as well as the Porsche 911. It comes nowhere near the 911. It's not as comfortable as a Bentley Continental GT, but it has that Italian flair, that element of uniqueness that you don't see on the US roads, and when you drop the top, you just feel amazing. I really have one problem with it, and it's the price. It's a lot of money, especially for our tester. $220,000, it's hard for me to justify it. But if you cannot afford a Ferrari and still want to have that Italian exotic vehicle, get it. You're going to be very happy with it. It has very high interior quality. It is fun to drive on curvy back roads, and when you drop the top, you feel very special that I can't even describe it. Anyways, if you guys have any questions about this thing, drop a comment and I'll be more than happy to answer them. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll catch you all later.